to the Masters of Modern / MMcast podcast. I am your host, Alex Kessler, here with my co-host, Marshall James.
I was waiting to see whether or not, as the person who edits the show regularly, there have been several episodes recently where I'm like, well, he called it Masters of Modern again. The fans get it.
Well, I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I can barely get things changed when I just learn them. So, welcome.
Coming up on our 300th episode.
What episode
here
are we on? Do you know? I don't know that.
This will be episode 291.
Ooh, we're 9 episodes out. We're gonna end the year at 300. So, for those who don't know, Marshall is the producer and editor of the podcast. There was a period of time where we were all doing this live in person before the dark times. And he was on a bunch of those episodes and visits and is often on the streams we do and is here today. And today, Ben is not here. Ben is taking a day off because we're going to be going through Commander Legends and going through each of the legendary characters and talking about what type of deck we would want to make in Commander with them.
So spicy.
If we would like to see any of them in Historic or Modern. So because of the way Modern and Historic now function, with Modern having Modern Horizons come out once in a while, and Historic having Historic Anthologies, these are all cards that theoretically could be reprinted in either of them. And if there's any of these that we think would be really cool to add to those formats, we're going to talk about that, as well as what Commander decks we would build with them as Commanders, or if we even are interested, or if we're like, no, this is trash, I have no interest. So we're going to go through all the Legends and talk about the ones we like. We're going to do a thumbs up, thumbs down policy. And if we have 2 thumbs up, we'll talk about it for a bit. If we have a thumbs down and a thumbs up, one of us will talk about it. And if we have 2 thumbs down, we're going to just make a loud alarm sound and talk crap about it or something and be mean and then move on.
We'll be rapid fire here because according to Scryfall, there are 117 legendary permanents in this set, but there were 71 brand new unique legendary permanents in this set. So a lot of ones to get through.
All of the ones that existed in a time before this, and I'm going to skip anything that's not a creature or Planeswalker, because those 2 Planeswalkers can be used as commanders in this set.
So we're talking about the 71. There are 40 new partners, 30 new multicolor legends, and 1 Prismatic Piper. And that's the 71 that exists.
Speaking of which, Prismatic Piper number 1. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I have things. Oh, you don't want to talk about it? All right, I'm going to go quick. We did talk about this card a while ago, so we can go quickly. This card, mostly just want to talk about why it exists. It's cool that this is a basic creature, that this is like the first creature ever printed and limited that you get access to regardless of if you open it in a pack. And just like the way that this card exists is really fascinating. Obviously, I think like what they have found is that it's there more for your stress levels than it is for your actual likely to play. I think it was played once in all of their play testing and probably will be played once in a while. Like if you like just get really good blue but never get a blue companion legend and you just need to be able to play blue with what cool cards you got. But yeah, no, this card is just, and artwork is gorgeous / terrifying, which is like straight up Seb McKinnon's main vibe.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. I don't know why they felt like, we'll waste some of the nicest art in the set on this card that only exists for a very rare limited deck, but you know,
it's a basic creature.
I'm glad at least that it exists.
Basic creature exists, which I think is cool.
It's basic and legendary.
It's got multiple creature types. All right, let's get into stuff. Akroma, Vision of Ixidor. 5 white, legendary creature, angel, flying for strike, vigilance, trample. At the beginning of each combat until end of turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. Akroma also has partner and is a 6/6.
So, okay, doesn't want to talk about it.
Yours.
I'll just say quickly that. So I'm not super duper excited about Akroma necessarily. I do like Keyword Soup. I've had a lot of fun with Cathril, the Keyword Soup commander, but and I think Akroma is cool in that she interacts really well with one of my favorite legendaries in the set, which is Rograk, Son of Roga. She gives Rograk, Son of Roga +4/+4, so you can have a 4/5 first strike menace, trample, free creature. Teaming those two up gives you actually pretty cool access to keyword soup. So I think that would be, if I was ever going to build Akroma, it would be Akroma Rogue Rack for keyword soup.
I think my issue is just very, very, very expensive. And like, if you're spending that much money, you could get Elishnorn. Yes, without partner.
But it's Elishnorn that gets to come with a partner.
I will say...
And it is at the beginning of each combat. So she's basically just, she makes your creatures real huge on both your turn and your opponent's turn.
And if you get extra combat steps, you can do some fun stuff with that as well, which there is a legend that lets you do that, maybe.
And Aurelia, the war leader, and Morag would go into that Akroma Rogue Rack deck. So
I am also really hyped that we finally get Akroma pictured in artwork with knives for legs. So she has sword, spear legs as like a character trait of hers that's existed forever, but has never actually been pictured. And now we get the sword legs.
Huh. I did not realize that.
A Haru Solemn Ritualist, 4 white legendary creature, human monk, 3/3. When a Laru Solemn Ritualist enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of the 2 target creatures. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a +1/+1 counter it dies. Create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. I'm going to quickly say something. This is cool in decks that want to do sacrifice +1/+1 counter things. I don't think there's a lot of commanders that let you do that. So the fact that it does that is cool. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. It's 5 mana for a 3/3. Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist. Legendary Core Scout, 3 and a white, 2/2. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may attach any number of R's and equipment you control to target permanent or player partner.
This gets big thumbs up for me. Okay, so Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist is a massive ramp spell for white. The amount of free mana Arden makes you every turn is not to be underestimated. Like the fact that it can just put a Colossus Hammer on one of your dudes for free. Like you can go turn, like I've also been playtesting a deck that teams up Arden with Rograk, Son of Roga, because it turns out when you can go like turn 1 Colossus Hammer, turn 2 cast Rograk and a Sword of the Animist, and then turn 3 play Arden, equip both Sword of the Animist and Colossus Hammer to Rograk, who has Menace and Trample, by the way, and then just crush in. I just think it's really cool. I also like that it allows you to move enchantments around and also move the enchantments to other players. So you can play Arden as like a Curses deck. You can also play Arden as an Aura.
Black white, or Mardu, or curses with Yeah,
you could team him up with Vile Smasher and do like Mardu curses. And also one of my favorite old back in the day when it was still EDH commanders was Kitsune Mystic, which flips into Autumn Tail Kitsune something, and it was one of those flip legends from Kamigawa that it flipped when it had 2 auras on it. And then it allows you to pay 1 to move auras around. So you could play like a cool like aura swapping mono white game. And so I love that Arden kind of allows you to do it for free. So I think this card is really cool. And I've played with it now several times. And it's like definitely, even when you have to recast it again for 5 mana, it's still worth it. Because then you get to like cheat on putting Helm of the Host and all these things on. I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Next card is Kelith Sunmane Familiar, 1 and a white legendary creature horse, 1/1. Whenever a commander you control attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Cool. Livio Oatsworn Sentinel. Oh, we thumbs down. I guess we should say what we're doing because this is an audio podcast. At times.
That's a thumbs down for me, dog.
Livio Oatsworn Sentinel, 1 white, legendary creature, human knight, 2/2. 1 and a white, choose another target creature. Its controller may exile it with an Aegis counter on it. 2 and a white, tap. Return all exiled cards with Aegis counters on them to the battlefield under their control. I guess I can thumbs up this, but it's a soft thumbs up. Okay, yeah, we could talk about it. Cool. This is kind of a blink commander, right? Like this is the purpose of this is to create like ETB effect trigger opportunities while also letting your opponents like save their creature from removal if they're important to exist. Like it has like some weird group hug capabilities. Otherwise, I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not meant to use it offensively, but it is cool that it's essentially a political commander that allows white/X to play around in the blink space that like Rune of the Hidden Realm plays in. Now, it's a lot more expensive to do it, so you want to play some sort of discounts. And like Livio doesn't immediately tell me what I'm supposed to do with it, which I kind of dig. I bet it's really fun to play around with in Limited. Like I'd love to open Livio and then draft the ETB, all the ETB triggers that are in the set, like blinking your Mull Drifter and any of the cards that grant you the Monarch when they enter the battlefield. Like, I dig it. Plus, Livio is from Fioria, which is Queen Marchesa's plane. So
what's cool is
I dig the Fioria.
What's cool is that he can like kind of do this thing where, because he's a commander, you can exile a bunch of stuff before a board wipe or whatever they're going to die. He'll die, go to your command zone, and then you can recast him and then use his ability when you untap to bring it all back. And because he only costs 2 mana, you can kind of do that pretty inexpensively on the second run through. So that is a cool thing that he has the capability of doing. And plus the ETB effect kind of triggers. I think you're going to play against a Livio deck in your life, and it's going to be dope as AF. Like it's going to be really, really, really cool.
As long as it can do its thing, you'll be impressed.
I'm going to be like, oh, great. Okay, you did it. I don't want to be the person to do it with this card specifically. But when the person who does it, I'm going to be hyped. The only other thing I could say is that, like, if you're wanting to play, like, in a CDH world or a world where you're trying to play with heavy commanders, like partner commanders are just, like, that good, he might be one of just the best, like, this is a generic white card I can add to any deck to make it good, because it, like, just has, like, a weird utility ability and is really inexpensive. It's only 2 mana, and so, like, being able to put, like, have this as the thing that adds white to Vial Smasher or something along that lines that lets you just like save your creatures and take advantage of blinking things and like forces your opponents to choose if they want to exile something for whatever reason that you could be like, I'll bring it back, I promise. is like a cool like maybe utility creature that's like just wonky enough. Prava of the Steel Legion, legendary creature, cat soldier, 2 white for a 1/4. As long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control get +1/+4. 4 mana, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. I'm gonna thumbs up here real quick, but okay. I'm not as stoked, but more just like I know Shivam is really stoked for this card. I think the fact that Shivam Bot, who you guys should all follow on Twitter, he's great on the Commander Advisory group and guest of this podcast. The fact that it's like a really cool soldier commander that also can act as like a cat commander, and it has like this cool like make big butts ability that's like permanent on tokens. I think it's just like it lets you play in 3 different spaces that are pretty unique for a commander that like this gives you options. I don't know if any of these are like high tier powerful, but I definitely can see people like Brewing in this space because it does allow you to do stuff that is cool to be able to do in the world of partners.
Yeah. I'd like Prava's one of the interesting commanders in that it is both very cool in the 99 of a lot of decks. Like Tristani decks are rejoicing. Like Prava, giving all your like a deck that both cares about toughness and tokens. Like Prava's all about it. But then someone also pointed out that you now have a different way to build Abzan Butt Fight, where you don't have to have Doran the Siege Tower as your commander. You can have Prava and Ikra Shidiki, and now you're like gaining a bunch of life. You have all these big butted tokens, so then you can play all the big butt removal spells, and you have access to, you know, Assault Formation and all the majority of all the butt fight cards when you splash it like that.
What Prava lets you do in that deck, which is cool, is it lets you play more of just like a good token strategy in Abzan, in which that Siddiq I'm never going to say her name correctly, but
Ikra Shidiki
gives you like will benefit because your other commander just makes all of your tokens really big without having to just like find weird big butt cards to have to play with. So it lets like I like deck that let you play in a strategy with each other that doesn't force you to play with bad cards. Right. And like classically, I think big butts often is like my deck's terrible unless I have the things that make these walls do damage and attack. And this is like, no, you can play with good cards that let you take advantage of big walls that are good, but then just play with a bunch of really powerful token makers, and they'll also be good in this deck.
Right. And so now if you have like Prava and Ikra Shadiki, then all the black-white cards that make like black-white spirit tokens, like having a whole air force of 2/5s is nothing to sneeze at, even long before you get a butt fight card.
Right. Radiant Sarah Archangel, 6 and a white, legendary creature, angel, flying, tap another untapped creature you control with flying. Radiant, Sarah Archangel gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, 6/4 partner. I'm going to thumbs down. Only comment is
I'm going to thumbs down.
Sad I'm thumbing down on the like legendary Sarah Angel, but here we are. Rebbec, Architect of Ascension. This is the last mono white card. 3 and a white, human artificer. Artifacts you control protection from each converted mana cost among artifacts you control. Partner, she's a 3/4. I mean, I'm a thumbs up because I already have a deck built with her.
Oh yeah, and I was very impressed. If y'all haven't checked out our Commander stream from last week, Kess played Rebbec paired up with Silas Wren, and I think when I had initially seen Rebbec spoiled, I misread because I forgot that they brought back protection. For a while, they'd gotten rid of protection as a keyword. They weren't using it, and they were trying for a while hexproof from instead of protection, which hexproof from is still good, but nowhere near as good as protection. And so I think I assessed Rebbec in my head as giving hexproof from, and I thought, okay, that's all right. She's whatever. Yeah, no, protection is really huge. Playing her in a deck with artifact creatures is can get pretty nuts.
Especially because I like built my deck to be really low to the ground, so it was a kind of like I wanted to make salvaging station the deck, and so like uses Silas Wren as like a salvaging station itself and a bunch of other things, and is playing a bunch of like 0, 1, and 2 drops. And so like by turn 4, I like can play Silas Wren and then Rebbec, and now the deck basically has protection from 1 through 3 drops, and then that doesn't even get into account the next few turns where I'll play a 4 drop or a 5 drop or a 6 drop, and it becomes like really difficult for decks to like interact with what I'm doing. And like to the point where like Ben had to like multiple times do the math on a it wasn't an earthquake effect, but it was like an earthquake effect, and like it was rolling earthquake, and he like did it, and he was like, oh wait, no, I have to add 1, and then I was like, all my things have protection from 7.
You have to add 1
so
more.
Had to,
actually,
like put 9 mana into it because I was able to like Phyrexian Metamorph not Aurelia. It was Gisela
Blade of Gold Knight.
So it was like the 7 mana rolling earthquake he was trying to cast needed to be 8 mana, and then at the time that made it so he took like whatever 8 times 2 times 2 24 32 damage to his face.
Yes,
because you had Aurelia and I had. Yeah, you should all watch this episode. The whole episode's actually really nuts. There are like multiple things that happen. That's
episode's
bonkers.
Pretty bonker. Yeah, it was a very fun game.
But Rebbec is really cool.
I feel bad that Michael did cool stuff and then died almost immediately as soon as there were 2 Gisellas on the battlefield. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. 2 Gisellas show up in the set or show up in that game. But yeah, so Rebbec in practice is really cool. I dig her a lot, and it's really cool because Rebbec is a cool character in Magic lore, so her getting a card that's actually cool and protective, which is sort of like her deal.
And it's cool. She's like the premier white artifact option, right? Like a partner, where like before you could play with one of the red-white ones if you wanted to have red in your deck, but like now you can do... Like I'm doing Esper with partners with Silas Wren, and it's great because Silas Wren's so cool that being able to do a Esper version of that deck without having to like play the blue-white flyer, which was like always lame, but is sweet. I was happy that next card on the blue.
This has been a production of Time Traveler Media, sending podcasts into the future.